Hi, I'm Rose with Wounded Women Rising. If you're building your life after abuse or one of life's other hard experiences like divorce or domestic violence, you're in the right place. Today, I'd like to talk about something so many women experience, but very few of us ever talk about: self doubt. Not the kind that shows up once in a while, the kind that quietly becomes the way you move through your day. Have you ever noticed how exhausting it is to question yourself all day long? Should I say something? Or should I stay quiet? Did I make the right decision? Am I overreacting? By the end of the day, you're not only tired because life's been busy, you're tired because you've spent a good portion of the day arguing with yourself. For many of us, that way of living becomes so familiar that it feels normal. But what if we've been looking at self doubt the wrong way? What if self doubt isn't simply part of your personality? What if it's a habit that developed over time? And if that's true, then perhaps it can change. Because here's something I've come to believe: confidence doesn't begin the day you suddenly believe in yourself. It begins the day you stop asking your fears to vote on every decision. Today, I'd like to explore why self doubt becomes such a familiar companion, why confidence feels so far away, and how we begin rebuilding the most important relationship of all: the relationship we have with ourselves. We think about the relationships with our children, family, and friends, and other people we love. Most of us never stop to consider the relationship we have with the one person we spend every moment of every day with: ourselves. The relationship we have with ourselves quietly shapes every part of our lives, because every decision we make, every challenge we face, every dream we pursue, every setback we encounter is filtered through that relationship. And one of the places it reveals itself is when uncertainty shows up. That's where self doubt often enters the conversation. Self doubt has a way of convincing us that something is wrong with us, that we're simply not confident enough, not strong enough, not wise enough, and not capable enough. Self doubt isn't born because you're incapable. It grows when your own voice has been questioned so often that you begin questioning it too. Think about that for a moment. Over the years, someone repeatedly questioned your thoughts, told you that you were overreacting, made you feel like your ideas didn't matter, and left you wondering whether your feelings were even valid. Without even realizing it, you began giving their voice more weight than your own voice. And little by little, you began wondering, what if they're right? And not because they are, but because hearing the same message over and over has a way of slowly chipping away at your confidence. Then something else happens. You begin questioning yourself before anyone else has the chance. You rewrite the email 3 times before you send it. You replay yesterday's conversation while you're trying to fall asleep. You wonder if everyone else knows what they're doing while you're just trying not to make a mistake. You find yourself looking to everyone else for answers while quietly ignoring the wisdom you already have. After a while, self-doubt begins to feel normal. It feels like part of who you are. But I don't believe it is. I believe it's a habit that was learned. And what is learned can be unlearned. Self-doubt doesn't protect us. It postpones our lives. Not all at once, not in any dramatic way or thunderbolt experience. It's in small, almost unnoticed moments until hindsight becomes 2020. Self-doubt postpones the conversations we want to have, the opportunities we're thinking about, the boundary we knew we needed to set, and the dreams we quietly tuck away until the timing feels right. The difficult thing about self-doubt is that it doesn't usually shout. It quietly influences the decisions we make. Sometimes we don't even realize it's there. I'd like to tell you about a decision I made years ago. After my first divorce, I was working at the university, and I had developed strong administrative and event planning skills. An opportunity came up to apply for several positions in a much larger city. The interviews went well, and I truly believed a job offer was coming. I started looking at housing, and I thought about moving my family. My children weren't opposed to the idea, but they weren't especially excited either. As the possibility became more real, something else became more real too. My fear. It rose up fiercely. I began questioning everything. Could I really do this? What if I wasn't good enough? What if I failed? What if I moved my family only to discover I'd made a terrible mistake? Fear became louder than possibility. I convinced myself I was being practical, that staying where I was made more sense. So I withdrew my name from consideration before anyone else made that decision for me. For many years, I regretted that decision. Not because I know the job would have changed my life. I'll never know that. I regretted it because I didn't make the decision. My fear did. Self-doubt has a way of convincing us to wait. Wait until we're more certain, more prepared, and more confident. But confidence has a funny way of staying just out of reach when we're waiting for it to arrive before we take that first step. The longer we wait, the more we begin believing that waiting is wisdom. Sometimes it is. More often, it's not. Sometimes it's self-doubt dressed up as caution. And those two can look remarkably alike. The difficult part is that self-doubt often sounds reasonable. It tells us we're simply being careful, that we're gathering more information, that we're waiting for the right moment. Sometimes those things are true, but sometimes they're simply fear asking for one more day, one more week, one more year. And while we're waiting, life keeps moving. Opportunities come and go, relationships change, children grow, seasons pass. Without realizing it, we find ourselves living a life that feels smaller than the one we longed for. Not because we weren't capable, and not because we lacked wisdom, but because self-doubt quietly convinced us there would be a better time. The truth is, confidence doesn't begin the day you suddenly believe in yourself. It begins the day you stop asking your fear to vote on every decision. One of the biggest misunderstandings we have about confidence is believing it has to come first. We tell ourselves, when I feel more confident, then I'll apply for the job, start that business, set that boundary, speak up, try something new, have that difficult conversation. We wait for confidence to arrive before we begin, but life doesn't seem to work that way. I've discovered something very different. Confidence isn't what gets us started. It grows because we got started. Courage follows behind, reaching for your hand. With every courageous step you take, she walks a little closer until one day you realize she's been beside you all along. I don't know about you, but I find that incredibly freeing because it means I don't have to wait until I feel confident before I begin. I simply have to have enough courage to take the next honest step. When confidence grows because we get started, we don't need to begin with something big. Confidence begins in ordinary moments. The next time uncertainty shows up, pause for a moment. Notice whose voice gets the final vote. Is it fear or is it yours? Then look for one small opportunity to say yes to yourself. Not because you're completely certain, and not because your questions have disappeared, but because you're beginning to build trust with yourself. And finally, pay attention to the evidence. The evidence that shows up every time you make a decision or keep a boundary, each time you try something that once would have frightened you, and every time you discover that you handled something better than you expected. Notice it. Don't rush past it. Pat yourself on the back. This is no small thing. You've displayed courage. You gave your own voice the final vote. Those moments are the quiet builders of confidence. Little by little, they become evidence that you are capable. Not because someone else told you so, but because you lived it. And as we come to the end of our time together today, I'd like to offer you the customary blessing. If you're able, lower your gaze or gently close your eyes. Place a hand over your heart. Take a slow, gentle breath and allow these words to settle where they're needed most. May you see yourself with kinder eyes and a gentle heart. May you have the courage to take the next honest step even before confidence arrives. May you build trust with yourself, one ordinary choice at a time. May you remember that your voice matters and deserves to be heard. May you discover, little by little, that the woman you've been looking for has been there all along. Before I say goodbye, I'd like to leave you with an invitation. If today's conversation helped you see yourself a little differently, if you realized that self-doubt has been quietly shaping your life, or if you're ready to begin building trust with yourself, I invite you to book a Freedom to Be You session with me. It's a private one-to-one conversation where we'll talk about where you are today, where you'd like your life to go, and the next honest step that feels right for you. You don't have to have everything figured out on your own. You simply need a place to begin. You'll find the booking link in the description. And that's enough for today. See you next week.